Porter County Conference record is 4-0. They've won the PCC tournament the last 3 seasons. The Wheeler Bearcats 12-3 overall, 5-0 in the PCC, enrollment 416. With Coach Skip Collins, Joe Redondo tonight from Wheeler High School, a game that possibly will decide the Porter County Conference Championship. But more than that, it's a game where Hebron, unranked, 13-0, still not getting much respect around Northwest Indiana or the state of Indiana, will be on television for the first time this season on Channel 56. Wheeler, though, coach, comes in 12-3, definitely the underdog. This basketball program was nowhere a few years ago, but Skeeter Heath has put them on the map.
Skeeter's done an outstanding job by coming in and playing to the philosophy that there's 2 ways to do things, my way and the wrong way. And we're going to do it my way, or you're not going to play basketball here at Wheeler, and he's turned things around. It's a unique game, Joe, because it's a rematch of a game that took place just 6 days ago. Hebron should win this basketball game. I don't think we'd offend anybody in Union Township or in the entire Channel 56 area if we said that Hebron's a better basketball team than Wheeler. But the better basketball team doesn't always win an individual game. I think Wheeler has to do a couple of things tonight that are super important. They cannot turn the ball over against the full court press in any kind of turnover that leads to a Hebron layup. The second thing they have to make sure they do is box out on the defensive board so there are no Hebron offensive rebounds. If they can do those 2 things, then they'll stay in the basketball game, and the longer they stay in the game, the more the home court becomes a factor. I think for Hebron, there's also 2 things, Joe, and both of them are mental, and they have to do with attitude. The first one is an overall attitude. Hebron's carrying a lot of baggage, 13-0, and there's more pressure with that than people that have never been there could ever realize. And the second attitudinal pressure is the pace of the game. The Hawks want to run up and down the floor. Denny Foster's got to get his kids to have enough patience to play the style that Wheeler's going to try to force. I think it's really going to be a great game for our 56 audience.
As you see there, the keg is red and white, but the Bearcats want it orange and green tonight. We'll be back with the starting lineups right after this on Channel 56.
Indiana High School basketball is partially underwritten by the following.
The cardiac patients at St. Mary Medical Center in Hobart are cared for using the latest technology, including an all-digital cardiac cath lab, comprehensive rehabilitation center, and non-invasive diagnostic testing. St. Mary's in Hobart, where the future in cardiology has arrived. For details, 947-6890.
Sawyer College offers fast training and job placement assistance to fill the demand for specialists in medical assisting, secretarial administration, accounting, computers, paralegal, and security. Good jobs are waiting. Call Sawyer for a career in months, not years. Financial aid available.
And by the financial support of viewers like you.
You're watching Northwest Indiana Public Television, Channel 56.
We're back at Wheeler High School, and we are ready to go down to our public address announcer, Mike Bogan. He has the starting lineups.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's Porter County Conference matchup between the Hawks of Hebron and your own Wheeler Bearcats. And now for the starting lineups. First, for the visiting Hawks. At guard, number 22, Bill Miller. At the other guard position, number 24, Rafe Terpstra. At forward, number 44, Justin Moore. At the other forward position, number 52, Josh Spinks. And at center, number 50, Ryan Zeldenrust. The Hawks are coached by Mr. Dennis Foster. And now for your own Wheeler Bearcats. At guard, a 5'9" junior, number 24, Chris Piaski. At forward, a 6'2" junior, number 32, Bill Fish. At another guard position, a 5'9" senior, number 34, Jason Hornbus. At forward, a 6'2" senior, number 42, Scott Harris. And the man in the middle, a 6'3" senior, number 44, Jeremy Hanna. The Bearcats are coached by Mr. Skeeter Heath, assisted by Mike Jones, Jim Bowles, and Scott Anselm. Tonight's officials are Jack Peters and Mike Wesselek.
I'll tell you what, Coach, you saw 3 of your former players play last night. You're going to see 2 of them on the bench tonight.
They're everywhere, which means one thing, Joe, I'm getting awful old. But Scott Anselm is helping Skeeter with the varsity as an assistant. Mike Jones coaching the JV and also assisting at the varsity level here at Wheeler High School. And it's nice to see those young men still enjoying the game of basketball. Jim Bowles also assisting with Skeeter. Denny Foster on the other bench with Matt Stone and Gary DeSmet giving him some outstanding help as well. Really looking forward to a good basketball game here tonight. And you fans out there in Channel 56 viewership who have never seen any PCC action, you're going to see 2 teams go at each other hot and heavy.
You can tell the intensity level on the kids' face even in the pregame introductions. Big game for both teams. Wheeler is really looking to redeem themselves after the loss last week. Hebron looking for some respect around Northwest Indiana. Still at 13-0, not getting a whole lot of respect as Spinks goes up and gets the tap, and here come the Hawks to Terpstra. Turnaround shot off the board, and in 2 for Justin Moore.
Right away, the 2-2-1 zone press for Hebron. One of the things I said in the opening that the Wheeler has to handle this well. They cannot give up the turnover for the layup.
A foul call on the far side. Let's check Denny Foster's keys to the game. Don't get behind, number 1.
Because, of course, that plays on tempo. Then keep them on the outside. Doesn't want to give Wheeler the layups that they got in the county tournament, and guard the 3-point shot. 2 difficult things to do, not give up layups and still guard the 3-pointer.
Wheeler has it right side, Hanna.
Wheeler will be exceptionally patient, pass the ball around until they find the shot they want.
3 in the air and good for Chris Piaski. And they did not recognize the 3-point shooter there. He had an open look. Here's Spinks off the baseline for 2. Josh Spinks scores. He averages 20. He's got 2. A lot of people don't know much about Hebron, a school of 300 folks, that they start 6'7", 6'6", 6'3" on the front line.
There you see the 2-2-1 press again. The ball's got to be punched into the middle or up the sideline quickly. The sideline, however, lends itself to the trap, as you saw there.
4-3 Hawks by 1. Fish in the Hanna. He puts it up, no good. Tipped up and in by Jeremy Hanna. And Wheeler has the lead back.
Nice reaction by Hanna as he missed the initial shot. He's a quick jumper, and he got right back up after that basketball.
Spinks on the baseline. He pops it out to Terpstra. And a traveling call. Traveling on the junior point guard, Bill Miller.
We'll have to check the Wheeler defense carefully next time down the floor. We've been playing around with our score sheets here, and it looked to me like Wheeler might have been in a little bit of an unusual defense. We'll check it out next time down. Here we are in the 1-2-2 offense, looking for a different set.
Piaski spins out, now picks up the dribble, brings it right side. Scott Hart, 6'2" and a senior, has it head of the key to Bill Fish.
Do a little flex variation. There's the shot. Nice job.
Hart's no good. Weak side rebound, Hovis, and he's going to bring it back out. Fish down the lane, feeds Hanna to the goal, lays it up short. Fight for the rebound. Josh Spinks comes out of there with it.
Produced some good shots on nice hustle by Fish and Hovis, but could not convert.
Miller open right side. Gets it back to Rafe Terpstra. Long three by Josh Spinks. No good. Rebounded by the Bearcats. Here comes Piaski down the floor in a hurry. Sets up Hanna. He fakes, and a foul called inside on Bill Miller. And that'll give us an opportunity to check out Skeeter Heath's keys to the game. Obviously, as you said in the open, Coach, and you don't even have to need to look at these, turnovers have to be a minimum.
They have to be, because he really has a very small margin of error. Of course, stop the transition game. That's the second thing we said. He can't give up layups, and then limit the offensive rebounds, limit the putbacks. I saw the same game last week that Skeeter did, evidently.
Piaski comes out head of the key. They couldn't get you out of the gym during that PCC tournament.
I was glued to my seat. Outstanding basketball from start to finish, though. 8 great basketball games, 9 counting the female championship game that was held on Saturday night.
Long three by Terpstra is in. Rafe Terpstra came in with a 59% field goal percentage, folks. One of the top shooters in Northwest Indiana.
And he may be the best just pure athlete on the Hebron basketball team. Certainly that'd be up for argumentation, but he can definitely do an awful lot of things on the floor.
7-5, Hawks by 2.
Zone principles on the defense now for Hebron, making it difficult for Wheeler to get the layups that they produced constantly in the first half of the county tournament championship game.
Foul inside. You're seeing 2 of the top shooting teams in Northwest Indiana, folks. These Wheeler Bearcats and Hebron tied for the lead in field goal percentage as a team, with North Judson all at 51%. Fish, who hasn't looked to shoot as of yet. And a traveling call on Piaski.
Chris got a little bit of hurry there to move 2 feet before he put the ball down. Good call. One of the ways you break a zone defense is to bust into it from behind and receive the ball. That's what Hart's did on the last possession. There you see the 1-1-3 zone defense by Wheeler.
Zeldenruss hits inside. Ryan Zeldenruss scores his first 2.
Really an odd defense. Looks like they're asking Piaski to cover both wings.
Hanna. Fish head of the key. 9-5, Hebron by 4. Bill Fish came in averaging 17, and another traveling on Hanna inside.
We have an unusual situation right now, Joe, and we've played almost 4 minutes in this basketball game, and I could almost guarantee you that neither team is 100% sure what the other one is doing on defense yet. Look at the 1-1-3 zone back there now for Wheeler, and you'll see Piaski go out and try to cover the wings as they try to take 3 people along the baseline. Nice defensive interception by Hartz.
9-5 Hawks by 4, 3:45 for the first quarter. Here's Jason Hovis. 3 in the air for Fish, no good. Rebound, Zeldenruss.
A step farther out than Bill would like to shoot the ball, but he felt comfortable there.
Miller lobbing, taken away again as they front and back. Josh Spinks in the post, and that time Hanna with the steal.
You can bet that a lot of thought has gone into setting up this defense for the Wheeler Bearcats.
Nice crossover move to the goal, and what's the call? Traveling before the shot. Well, you know, Skeeter Heath pointed out last week that last Saturday they had about 3 hours to prepare for Hebron, where this week they had all week.
It's definitely a factor. Hebron, of course, played the first game in the semifinal round, giving them a little extra rest, a little extra preparation time last Saturday. Skeeter did not feel that Fish traveled there, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Spinks on the baseline, cross-court pass Terpstra. Miller comes down the baseline, dishes nicely to Moore, but he's fouled inside.
Bill Fish has a rather unusual assortment of moves once he gets within 12 or 14 feet of the basket, Joe. We'll see as the night goes on. And it appears that he does travel many times, but most of the time I'd say he's not. He takes 3 or 4 steps, but usually with the same foot, manages to keep the pivot foot down and then drags it at the last minute. So it looks like he travels many times when he actually is not.
Carl Pates, the big sophomore in the game. Number 42, Open J. Terpstra is in off the baseline. Rafe Terpstra, maybe the best shooter you've never heard of in Northwest Indiana. He's hit his first 2 attempts. He's got 4.
Can't panic in the backcourt now. They still have time. There's a good pass.
Hanna off glass and in. Jeremy Hanna with 4. It's
Nice
an
shot.
11-7 game.
Challenged the defense well, Joe.
Tough shot.
See, Piaski tried to cover that wing. Now when the ball comes back over here, he may try to cover this wing also. Almost a physical impossibility. No one covers
for
it.
3. No good off the back rim. We'll give him that shot. Spinks baseline shortstop, partially blocked by Hanna. 11-7, Hawks by 4, but Wheeler with the ball back. Fish driving down the lane, had it swatted from behind, but a foul on Josh Spinks.
There you can see some of the unusual rhythms of the maneuvering of Bill Fish with the basketball. He's a very difficult player to guard. Had him down at camp in Indianapolis last summer, and he played very, very well for the most part. Although he certainly hasn't reached that status by any means, I would compare him to David Redmond in the sense that the things he does are a little, maybe a half a beat off for some reason or other of normal rhythms and make him kind of a difficult man to guard.
Kind of out of the Garrett Blanca school?
Yeah.
We saw him with an assortment of pump fakes and moves earlier this year. Fish just a junior. In fact, the 2 leading scorers for Wheeler are both juniors. Again, partially deflected now. They say Spinks did pull his hands back, and it'll be Hebron ball on the baseline. 11-9, 1:50 to go, first quarter.
That's Jack Peters underneath the basket, who saw the deflection at the last minute.
Now it's knocked away by Hanna again. He's got his hand on that pass 3 times when they try to go on the post.
Exactly. That's the 3rd time they've been able to jump in front of the low post. Nice strategy by the Bearcats.
Hartz guarded by Terpstra. Back to Hovis. Hovis drives down the lane, takes it to Spinks. Offensive foul called.
There was a little bit of deep breathing on the Hebron bench there because for a moment it looked like that foul might be Spinks' second early in the basketball game. But probably a good call, went against Hovis, trying to force his way down the lane.
11-9, Hebron by a pair. Miller. Justin Moore. Cross-court pass to Pates. 15-footer off the board, no good. Rebounded by Fish of Wheeler. I don't think Mr. Pates is the man that Denny Foster wants as their top priority offensively. Carl just came in, averaging 5.2 as Hovis fires off the baseline good.
Hebron is not showing much patience on defense right now, and I'll try to explain that when we get a moment. We normally think of patience as being an offensive characteristic.
Well, that's one thing Dennis Foster said, Skip, before the game, is that they need to be patient on defense and on offense.
Well, they trapped the ball a couple of times out there and led to easy shots. Hovis' jump shot there came simply because Hebron made some trapping maneuvers that weren't smart. About 20 seconds to go here in the first quarter. We're tied at 11-11. Obviously, the Hawks are going to go for 1.
You know, Dennis Foster pointed out that, hey, we need to be patient on defense because we're going to have to play a minute of defense maybe on each possession.
Exactly.
Miller. Terpstra for 3. No good off the back rim with 3. Hovis at midcourt fires. No good. After 1, we're tied at 11. Hebron and Wheeler on WYN Channel 56.
Northwest Indiana High School basketball is partially underwritten by the following.
White Lumber Company, 516 North, 325 West in Valparaiso, specializing in hardwood lumber and supporting Wheeler High School. White Lumber Company, 759-2592. And by Jim's Auto Repair, 912 South State Route 2 in Hebron. Hebron's one-stop auto shop with 24-hour towing. Jim's Auto Repair, 996-5240. And by Arby's, 642 North Main in Hebron. Now open Sunday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., and now serving breakfast. Arby's in Hebron, 996-6844. And by First National Bank of Valparaiso, the Hebron office at 111 West Sigler. First National Bank of Valparaiso, 2100.
And by the financial support of viewers like you.
We're tied at 11 after 1 on WYN Channel 56, and now it's time to ask those fans out there to support high school basketball on Channel 56. A $10 donation will be charged to your phone bill if we can support high school basketball on WYN. Very important tonight for Hebron and Wheeler fans to make that call and make that support if they want their high school team to be on Channel 56 again next season. When you're talking about business communities in Hebron and Wheeler, there's not a lot there, so it's most important for those fans to continue to support Channel 56 as they did last year. Here's Hovis, dribbles through the double team. Piaski back to Hovis, tied at 11. Fish fakes three, drives to the goal, lays it up, missed it. Goes to Hanna, he had the rim in the way of the shot. Now Hart's inside off the glass, can't get it down, and Spinks the rebound, and he's fouled by Hart's.
Not much contact, but bad position by Hartz as he came over the back just to brush slightly, and Mike Westlake called the foul on him. And here come the Bearcats back in that 1-1-3 defense, now fanning out a little more like it's going to be 2-3 after the first pass.
Spinks open, comes down the baseline, pull up 6-footer, good. Josh Spinks with 4.
Makes it look easy and shoots off the dribble with such ease.
Down the floor, Hovis was open, looks for Hanna, he lays it in. Hanna with 6. And maybe more importantly, no fouls.
Wheeler did a nice job of attacking the basket.
Justin Moore, cross-court pass. Zeldenrus launches 3. Good! Ryan Zeldenrus might have had us tuned in. Last night we mentioned the fact that even he had shot a three-pointer this year. And he knocks it down there.
Good judgment so far. Nice decisions by Wheeler on offense as to when to attack and when not to.
Hovis in traffic, gets it away. Piaski fires air ball, wasn't set, and forced it. It's 16-13 Hebron. Terpstra down the floor. Had it popped away, stolen by the Bearcats. As Byron Stevens just in, lost it, and Fish clears to Hanna. Hovis hangs, shoots, no good. Tipped up, Hanna, no. Fight for the rebound. And Josh Spinks clears it for the Hawks.
So far, Wheeler has gotten to the offensive board more effectively than what Hebron has at this end. Not much movement right now for the Hawks. There you see some cutting inside.
Justin Moore forces no, fight for the rebound. Moore gets it back, lays it in. Justin Moore with 4, and it's 18-13, Hebron by 5.
There was the first real flurry on the offensive board by the Hawks. One of those things we said could not happen if Hebron was going to stay in the game, and there's another one right there. There's back-to-back mistakes of the type we said that cannot happen.
Back-to-back mistakes and a steal by Stevens. Spinks in the post, Zeldenrus. Turnaround shot is in.
Need timeout.
Timeout Wheeler as Zeldenrus hits the 3 and then knocks down the 2. The Hawks have spurted to a 7-point lead, 20-13 on Channel 56.
Northwest Indiana High School basketball is partially underwritten by the following.
Main Street Hardware, HWI, 131 North Main in Hebron. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 8, Saturday, 8 to 5, Sunday, 8 to 2. Main Street Hardware, HWI, the friendly ones. 131 North Main in Hebron, 996-2660. And by Quality Gutters, 8529 East 181st Avenue in Hebron. Siding, soffit, fascia, 5-inch residential or 6-inch commercial gutters in 10 colors. For estimates, 996-7410. And by Marty's Place at Ramsey's Landing in Hebron, overlooking the Kankakee River. Marty's Place at Ramsey's Landing in Hebron, 996-3363. And by Dairy Queen Brazier of Hebron, 620 North Front Street in Hebron, one of the biggest supporters of the Hebron Athletic Program. Dairy Queen, 620 North Front in Hebron, 996-5510.
And by the financial support of viewers like you.
Hebron spurts the 7-point lead, and let's check the road out for the Hawks. 13-0. You can't beat it if you win them all, Coach.
No, 13-0 is about as close to perfect as you can get, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, you can't get much better than that. You know, and hey, folks are going to say River Forest, so what? They beat them by 40-some points. River Forest is a pretty good basketball team. They're 6-6.
See a lot of 80s, 90s, and 102 in there. It doesn't make a difference who you're playing if you can score that many.
Hovis down the lane. Here's Hartz. He runs over Spinks, and what's the call? Double dribble? Double dribble on Hartz.
Josh Spinks, who took the charge along the baseline, I think probably got some knee-to-knee contact. It'll be sore for a couple moments, but I think he's going to be just fine. Pretty tough young man who was also the recipient of the Emmy Dinsmore Award, a special award given to the outstanding student athlete in the PCC at the conclusion of the Porter County Conference tournament last Saturday, and his name will be added to a list of young men who have distinguished themselves and gone on to outstanding careers after receiving that award.
20-13, Hebron has bolted to that 7-point lead. Here's Miller. Gets it to Josh Spinks. Stevens in the post, Josh on the baseline.
Wheeler has changed defenses now. They're back man-to-man.
Zeldenrust again, turns, fires, scores. Ryan Zeldenrust with 9.
Obviously a very tough matchup for Wheeler inside, as Zeldenrust at about 6'6" can turn around and shoot over just about anybody out there.
22-13, Hebron. Hovis. Fish. Bill Fish gets it out to Hovis between the circles. What does a 9-point deficit do to your philosophy if you're Wheeler, Coach?
There is no other choice.
Off the glass for Jeff Perez. His first 2.
I think you have to realize it's only 9 points, now 7. There's a long time to go in the game. You continue to play to your principles. You don't have another choice.
Justin Moore can't hit the shot. Rebounded, knocked away inside. Spinks off the board for 2.
And there again, your second shot on a missed offensive rebound attempt, and ball put back in.
Here's Fish in the backcourt, down the floor to Hanna. Hanna down the baseline, driving, and a foul call that looks like it'll be Ryan Zeldenrust.
Showed nice quickness as he went to his right along the baseline side. Excellent move. Going to the free throw line, number 44, Jeremy Hanna. He's a 7-point per game scorer. The 6'3" senior shoots 67% from the free throw line.
Coach, what do you make of these stats? Bill Miller, 51% from the floor. Terpstra, 59. Stevens, 55. Pritchard, 50. Justin Moore, 54. Zeldenrust, 54. Spinks, 53.
I added up all those numbers in my head, Joe, and they added up to 13-0.
Yeah. But, you know, some people look at that and say, oh, they're playing poor competition. But, you know, if you're playing poor competition, you still need to get good shots and make them, right?
You definitely have to put the ball in the basket, no matter if there's another team on the floor or not. Even if you're playing 5-on-0, somebody eventually has got to make a shot. And when you're shooting at those percentages, you have to do an awful lot of other things wrong to lose a basketball game.
You may look at a lot of teams in Northwest Indiana, and they might have 1, maybe 2 guys shooting around 50%. There's a double dribble call on Hovis in the backcourt. He's saying the ball was tipped.
His opinion isn't going to count right now, I don't think. Mike Westlook's going to give the ball out of bounds to Hebron. And even though Skeeter and Mr. Hovis are pretty convinced that they're right, it isn't going to make a whole lot of difference right now.
Justin Moore to get it in. It's 24-16, Hebron by 8.
Wheeler's still okay. They just can't panic. They have to just play the solid man defense that they're in right now.
Drive to the goal, no good. Fish way up for the board this time. Fish to Piaski, 2:17. Here's Piaski, right side, Fish. Chris needs to square up and look for that 3. In the lane, shot up with the left hand, no good. Rebounded by Bill Miller of the Hawks. Terpstra will come back for Hebron at the next dead ball.
He's had a nice rest. That's one of the advantages of being ahead, of course, and a pretty good bench for Denny Foster. We saw an outstanding shooting performance last year in this game, Joe.
Sure did, by Jeff Cheek. 9 threes. That'll work. Right.
He buried 9 of them and down at Hebron against the Hawks, and really made a game out of it for Wheeler. Spinks will go to the free throw line, where he's shooting, did I copy that right, 87% from the free throw line?
He's big time. 6'7", 197 senior. A weekend warrior, 2 weeks in a row here in his eligible weekend.
Got a nice release of that basketball, and somebody's going to be willing to pay for part of his college education.
It's a 10-point Hawk lead now, 26-16.
They change the press now after the free throw. A little diamond in one action. They'll trap on the wing, probably. Now they've dropped back into 2-2-1. Interesting setup on the press.
Fish on the baseline drive. Gets it back out, deflected to the corner. They've done a much better job, Coach, since that first 3 of guarding the three-point arc.
Hebron's defense is very confusing. They're doing a nice job of matching up on the perimeter. They appear to be man-to-man, and then suddenly they are double-teaming the basketball, and Wheeler is not quite sure what they want to do offensively against it. They've been very confusing. They're in a zone right now. They're doing a little trapping occasionally on the wings, and it's hard for Wheeler to get a decent shot off.
And they threw it away. Hanna was not expecting the pass to come his way.
Hebron played man-to-man throughout the first half of the PCC championship game a week ago, Joe, and Wheeler, with some back cuts and some nice plays off the flex, managed to score a lot of layups. They're not getting that easy shot tonight that they got last week. Playing out very high right now with 52 seconds to go here in the first half.
You know, and their guard tandem of Miller and Terpstra have handled the ball very well.
Very well. They're quite underrated. Most of the emphasis goes on the size of Hebron. But the kids handling the ball out in front here are very good. Miller's a nice player, and we already said that Terpstra is just an excellent athlete.
Spinks driving, shooting, and it rolls in. Josh with 8. 28-16 Hawks.
That was a painful possession for Wheeler. Hebron kept the ball a long time and scored, and those hurt.
Foul before the pass and the shot. It'll be number 22, Bill Miller of the Hawks.
Time for the bonus, 7th team foul.
Miller's 3rd foul, and he'll sit down.
Perez is shooting 50% from the free throw line. He averages 3.8 points per game, 6'1", and a sophomore. We'll see if the southpaw can get it up there. He has 2 points on the night.
He's got 3. Very impressive first half for the Hebron Hawks. Unbeaten, unranked. And they played very well here. So that's off the back iron, and Terpstra up for the rebound. Terpstra, left side Spinks.
6 seconds.
Josh gets it to Moore. He fires 3, no good. Stevens, as he's going out of bounds, no good, and then we're at halftime. 28-17, Hebron by 11 as they go to the locker room. We'll be back with our halftime guest and more right after this on WYIN Channel 56.
Northwest Indiana High School basketball is partially underwritten by the following.
The Transitional Care Unit at St. Catherine Hospital in East Chicago offers extended care for discharged hospital patients who may not be physically able to return home safely. The TCU allows residents convenient access to hospital services like physical therapy without the expense of a hospital stay. For details, 392-7530.
Sawyer College offers fast training and job placement assistance to fill the demand for specialists in medical assisting, secretarial administration, accounting, computers, paralegal, and security. Good jobs are waiting. Call Sawyer for a career in months, not years. Financial aid available.
And by the financial support of viewers like you.
You're watching Northwest Indiana Public Television, Channel 56.
Ryan Zeldenruss has 9, Josh Spinks has 8, and the Hawks have an 11-point halftime lead. Let's go down to the court. Coach Skip Collins has a special guest.
We're at halftime here at Wheeler High School, where the host Bearcats trail the Hebron Hawks 28-17. My guest at halftime is the head baseball coach here at Wheeler High School, Mr. Richard Wentz, who's in his 7th season at the head of the baseball program here. And Coach, you and I are both part-time basketball experts now from the stands. Bearcats got a chance in the second half here. What are they going to have to do?
They're going to almost have to play a perfect ball game. They can't let Spinks have the baseline jumper. I think they got to work for a better shot. Too many turnovers.
It's very difficult, of course, playing against a team of Hebron's quality. You play, of course, in the PCC with the Wheeler Bearcats, and for the last 7 years, Bearcat baseball has been one of the best programs, small school, big school, anything around here. Rich, what's the secret to keeping it going year after year?
Well, I think, it's the same thing that you had when you were at Valpo coaching, Skip. I think it's tradition. I think once the kids get used to a winning program, they want to come out and play, and they know what we expect out of them, and they play hard most all the time.
Coach, in a small school, of course, you don't have 500 different athletes. You have to share them a little bit with the other sports. Talk for a few moments, if you would, about what kind of problems that creates and how the coaches have to kind of get along with each other a little bit.
Well, the problem I see is where right now most big schools are already in conditioning programs and probably using the batting cages. We can't do that. We have an agreement here that I don't start until basketball season's over. And so it creates problems because that gives us about 3 weeks before our first game, where some of the bigger schools that don't have to share athletes are already working for 6 or 7 weeks.
How about let's take a moment here, Rich, and give some credit to some of the kids who are probably look like they're going to be major parts of your baseball program this spring. Who are the kids we can look for in the box score that are going to be contributing heavily for the Bearcats?
We should have a very good season. Our pitchers are back this year. Jason Hovis, who certainly will get some all-state recognition, a good left-hand pitcher. We had Chris Piaski, will be a #1 right-hand pitcher. And we got Bill Fish back. We got 6 lettermen back altogether. Steve Spiegel, a good hitter. We should have a pretty good season if we can stay eligible and stay healthy.
I understand, just like there is in basketball, that there's a little bit of a push slightly for maybe some class baseball among the coaches here and there. What's your opinion on that, and do you think it'll ever go through here?
Well, the Coaches Association in the state are certainly for it. I don't like it. I'm from the old school. I like the small school. I'm from a small school. I like the opportunity to beat the big schools. For one, I'm not for class baseball.
Rich, I appreciate you spending some time with me here at halftime.
Thank you very much, Coach.
We're at halftime on Channel 56. Wheeler trails the visiting Hebron Hawks by 11. Let's go back to the Channel 56 studios to Joe Arredondo for tonight's final scores.
We are ready to get to the scoreboard. We're live back in the studios of Channel 56 in the locker room, ready to go. for our halftime scores on our high school game of the week. Let's not wait any longer. Get to the scoreboard as usual, folks. Your first score, we've checked it 4 or 5 times. It is correct. Duneland Conference action. Chesterton by 11 at Portage. Don't scratch your head at us. We did double check that. Chesterton now 5-7 on the season. One of the feature games of the night was no contest at Valparaiso. Tim Bishop, Bryce Drew, 21 apiece. Valpo all over Crown Point tonight, 72-50. The Vikings, still number 2 in the Renegade poll, 13-0 and 5-0 in the Duneland. They take control of the conference. Elsewhere, it was Maryville getting 18 points from Brett Fedak tonight. Maryville 66-52 over LaPorte. The Pirates also got 12 from freshman Jamal Davis in his first varsity game. He had 6 rebounds and 4 blocks, but we're going to show you that Hobart score. There you see Maryville 66-52 over LaPorte. Maryville now 9-5 and 3-2. The Brickies are 8-4 after their win tonight, 74-46 over Michigan City Rogers. In the Lake 10 Conference, Hammond High is 4-9 on the season, 67-63 over Calumet. Bishop Knoll still in the command of the Lake 10, and they now have a 2-game lead over the rest of the field after a 60-42 win over Griffith. Knoll now 8-6 and 6-0. They have a 2-game lead because Highland and Calumet both lost tonight. At Munster, Mustangs are now 8-8, 76-41 over Morton. Highland fell at Gavitt by 1 tonight, 53-52. Gladiators now 7-6 and 4-2 in the Lake 10. But the team of the night, take your hat off to those Clark Pioneers. Ended the 15-game losing streak going back to last season, winning for the first time this season tonight at home, 60-57 over Whiting Clark, our team of the night. They are now 1-10 on the season. In Northwestern Conference, it was Wirt 61-35 over Roosevelt. It's been a Jekyll and Hyde season for the Velt. Wirt now 10-3 on the season. Northwest Hoosier Conference, Rensselaer 75-62 over North Newton. The Bombers win tonight. Elsewhere, River Forest all over Lake Station tonight, 64-39. In the PCC, it was Couts moving the record to 11-4, 73-69 over Boone Grove. Hanover Central now 7-7 after their 72-64 win over Morgan Township. The team and game you're watching tonight is 13-0 unbeaten Hebron. They lead by 11 at halftime over Wheeler, 28-17. Non-conference play, East Chicago Cardinals escaped disaster last weekend. Not tonight. They lose at Westside. Westside now 10-5, but rolling a 7-point winner at home tonight. Wayne Svetinov's ball club gets a much-needed victory on the road tonight. Lake Central now 7-6, got 2 free throws from Joe Stavitsky with 6 seconds left to win the game at Andrean, 57-55. North Judson St. Pierre continuing to roll. They are 13, now 14-0 on the season, 82-60 for the Blue Jays over Knox. Elsewhere, it was La Crosse 56, South Central 47. This score just in, Michigan City Marquette 64, Westville 51, and finally, Michigan City Elston wins tonight 73-61 over South Bend, Washington. We've got third quarter action coming your way of Wheeler hosting Hebron coming up next after this break on Channel 56.
Northwest Indiana High School basketball is partially underwritten by the following.
Porter Stark Services, 701 Wall Street in Valparaiso. Your neighbor, helping to make your life work better. Porter Stark Services, 464-8541. And by J&H Tire in Hebron and DeMont, complete car care, where you can ask about the $10 offer on oil change and filter for Channel 56 viewers. J&H Tire in Hebron at 996-2611 and DeMont 987-7100. And by Patch's Market, 800 Country Square Plaza in Hebron. Wishing the Hawks the best of luck for the remainder of the year. Patch's Market, 800 Country Square Plaza in Hebron, 996-2241. And by Ridgeway Welding Repairs, 5209 East 173rd Avenue in Hebron. 24-hour mobile welding truck available. Ridgeway Welding Repairs in Hebron, 996-6934.
And by the financial support of viewers like you.
ready for the third quarter, and the Hawks have it inbounds to Bill Miller. 28-17, Hebron by 11.
We'll look for some changes here. Now, of course, Wheeler out in the same man-to-man defense.
Spink steps out, fires up high, no good. Moore up for the rebound, swatted, and an offensive foul called on Justin Moore as he knocked down one of the Bearcats. Chris Piaski went down.
Tough to see the foul from this angle, but Mike Westlake came out of the basket, underneath the basket area, calling it dynamically. But once again, Joe, one of the keys to the game that we talked about in the pregame, Hebron can't get to the offensive board if you're Wheeler, and they got there on the first possession.
You know, you get Josh Spinks outside. He box off Zeldenrust as Hannah scores. And then Justin Moore at 6'3" goes up and gets it. Hannah with 8.
Still a basketball game, just down 9.
Zeldenrust has been outstanding, but now he's fouled by Hannah on the block.
The problem with the 9-point lead, Joe, is not so much the Wheeler's attitude that they can't come back. I think they feel they can come back. It has to do with Hebron's attitude. The 9-point lead feels a little bit comfortable to them, whereas if this game were really tight, then they might feel just a little bit of pressure. Interesting free throw. Excuse me.
He doesn't even shoot it. He doesn't even bounce it.
Just sort of strode into it, shot it up there twice in a row.
Oh, jeez. And made it look easy. Zeldenrust just 53% from the line coming in. 2 of the quickest made free throws of all time.
Billy Fish without a basket during the first half, only 2 free throws, averaging 17 on the year. He's got to get something done offensively. Most of his baskets are going to be slashing through the middle area, and Hebron just does not allow that to happen.
Hovis launches, no good. Hannah up with the rebound, but he's fouled. He'll go to the free throw line.
I really like the job that Hannah has done on the offensive board. Hartz has given him a little bit of help in there, but basically it's been Jeremy Hannah getting to the offensive board, keeping the ball alive, and done a nice job. He's a 6'3" senior, averaging 7 points a game, but he's playing better than those statistics here tonight.
Coach Skeeter Heath has gotten rid of the sport coat here to start the third quarter.
It's definitely a little warm in the Wheeler Fieldhouse there.
.63", 165 senior Jeremy Hannah delivers the second one good. (30-20). Hawks by 10. Miller left side. Right side, Terpstra. Bounces to Miller.
Good player and ball movement by Hebron in this possession. They've done a nice job. Good patience also. Good back cut. Great possession.
Terpstra gives the Hawks a 12-point lead. Here's Hovis spinning into the front court and a foul. A reaching foul on Justin Moore.
And even though Moore committed the foul, the Hebron defense had Wheeler playing at a pace faster than they want to play as Hovis came full speed up the sideline. Hebron's defense just in the zone right now.
Fish steps inside after the fake. Good. Bill Fish has 4. 32-22. Hawks by 10. Lob for Spinks on the post. Turnaround fire. Good. Josh Spinks with 10.
When all else fails, that's a good play, Joe. You just throw it up in here to your 6'7" guy and let him turn around and put it in the basket, and that's pretty effective.
In the post, up off with the left hand for Perez. Jeff Perez with 5 to give the Bearcats a lift off the pine.
He's done a nice job.
Game again.
Giving him a good boost. He's a couple points over his season average. Wheeler can't afford to just trade baskets, though. They need him to get a defensive stop here.
Josh Spinks again to the board, lays it in. 2 more. That time he got inside of Hannah.
He's got 14, I believe. I've got him for 6 baskets and a couple of free ones, Joe.
That one is no good. Rebounded by Moore. I missed the free ones as usual.
The best things in life are free ones, Joe.
Zeldenrust between the circles. Right side, Miller.
You know, I've been very impressed by Hebron's offensive patience in the second half here. You know, there's a great tendency when you're up 10 or 12 points to suddenly want to make it 20, and they're doing a nice job of passing the ball around, making Wheeler play the game on defense. As I've tried to point out before, there are two tough parts to this game, Joe, offense and defense, and offense is much more fun to play, and therefore you'd like to play most of the game on offense. Hebron is doing that right now.
We've got a timeout, 36-24. Hebron Hawks by 12 with 4:47 to go, third quarter. We're going to invite you to support high school boys basketball on WIN Channel 56. A $10 donation will be charged to your phone bill if you can call one of those 900 numbers available and support boys high school basketball. Very important for fans of Wheeler and Hebron to do that right now in order to assure their school of being on Channel 56 in future years. We had a great response from the Wheeler and Hebron fans last year. That is why their teams are on again this year. And in order to get them back on the schedule next year, now's the time to call. You know, when you're a small school with 300, 400 students, you don't got that big business community to support your team as we had this week. Channel 56 usually averages 20 business subscribers to support the game of the week. This week, with the smaller schools, just 12. And now that's why it's the fans' turn to help out their high school if they'd like to see their team continue to be on Channel 56.
Outstanding spirit and atmosphere here tonight, and I imagine a lot of the people that are watching this basketball game are people that are here right now. Hope you're enjoying it. Call those numbers.
Zeldin Rust right open off the nice feed from Josh Spinks.
Spinks showing that he's more than just a scorer and rebounder. He can pass the basketball, can put it on the floor. He's the complete package. Zeldin Rust has also improved greatly from a year ago. A year ago, he might not have caught that pass, Joe. He has really improved himself.
Officials say it went off Bill Miller. It'll be Bearcat basketball.
38-24, 14-point margin at the 4:20 mark here in the third quarter. Hebron in the 2-3 zone defense, starting to stand around a little bit right now.
Bill's wide open for three there, didn't pull the trigger. Piasky will fire from deep, no good. Rebounded by the Hawks and Justin Moore.
The Bearcats do not have an abundance of three-point shooters, and Hebron's going to give them that shot. With the exception of Piasky, they feel no one's going to hit it consistently.
Foul there, and Spinks goes to the free throw line. You know, some North Judson St. Pierre fans last night raising the question whether is it against the rules for an 8th grader to participate in practice in high school? Because as an 8th grader, Josh Spinks was often called in to be maybe the 10th man on the floor during varsity basketball practice. You think those Blue Jay fans are looking for an edge if it comes down to the regional, maybe trying to get Josh Spinks in the court with the IHSAA?
I think that everyone I've ever met from North Judson St. Pierre community is 100% honest. And the same thing true for everybody I ever met from Hebron.
39-24. Here's Fish going to launch that three short.
And they're going to give him that shot all night.
Terpstra angles right on the dribble. Now picks up the dribble and is fouled by Hovis.
Jason Hovis committed a foul with the little reach in, the 5'9" senior hacked him. Jason will take the mound as the #1 pitcher in all probability for Coach Rich Wentz. Wheeler 9 this spring.
Justin Moore drains the three. Three more for Hebron.
You're looking at a very relaxed Hawks team right now, playing very comfortably, everything going right for them.
42-24. Hawks increased it to 18.
Hebron really, Joe, just simply has Wheeler right by the neck. There is nothing. All the coaches in the stands were sitting up there wondering why Skeeter doesn't change something. I'm looking at Skeeter's personnel and things I think his team probably can and can't do, and there isn't much he can change. The better team is ahead. The better team's ahead by 18 points, and I don't mean that with any disrespect toward Wheeler. They're playing as hard as they can, but Hebron's just a little better.
Hebron not even close to the top 20, Coach. What do you think?
Well, I think just like any other poll, we'd be guessing. But if I were voting, they'd be in the top 20.
You think they could stay on the floor with Paoli?
Well, I think Paoli actually is a very good basketball team, Joe, but I understand exactly what you're saying.
How about Forest Park? Where is Forest Park? Hannah, or no, it's Hart's off the board, no good. Inside, a foul on Hannah. As Byron Stevens had good rebound position.
For close to 20 years, I voted in the UPI poll, the coaches poll at that time, and I always tried to vote the first 12 teams as accurately as I could, and then we voted for 15, and so on the next 3, I always tried to take care of everybody in our area that I thought was doing a pretty good job, and I would stick Hebron or somebody like that. And I remember voting for Morgan a couple of years when they had outstanding teams, and I really think those deserve to see their name in there, and that also got votes column, if nothing else.
Terpstra misses. Here comes Bearcats back. Piaski in a hurry to the goal, and he's fouled by Terpstra. Rafe Terpstra on the foul, and Chris Piaski will go to the free throw line.
A nice job of taking the basketball right directly to the hole.
Hawks were unbeaten a few years ago, if you recall, and during the regular season, and a lot of folks critical of their schedule. Shouldn't be critical of it anymore, because in a couple of weeks they'll be playing one of the hottest teams in Northwest Indiana in the West Side Cougars. 2 weeks from tomorrow.
I don't think you can be critical of a schedule of a school that has 300 or 400 students. There's no way that they can go out and schedule Muncie Central and Lafayette Jeff every year and plan ahead for that kind of thing. You never know when you're going to have a team where you'd like to play some of those teams. If you schedule them every year, you're going to spend most of your time losing.
Did you see the Hawks play when they were unbeaten in the regular season, Coach?
Yes, I have. I've seen them play for a number of years. As a matter of fact, back in 1953, 54, 55 area, they had some excellent basketball teams. Some of my childhood heroes. As a matter of fact, as Terpstra scores on the nice bank shot, played at Hebron. Troy Ingram, Herb McKay, just a couple of those names off that team. Outstanding team.
Johnny Knopf, former Hawk, as Terpstra puts it off the board, missed it that time.
John Knopf was an excellent basketball player, really was. He was a playmaker. He wasn't a 20-point-per-game scorer, but he got the ball where it was supposed to be, and was an excellent high school athlete. As was his brother Paul, who won the Emmy Dinsmore Award. Actually, the year before it was changed to that name.
Don Bales, Lowell AD, I think was a high school teammate of John Knopf.
Hebron has had a tradition of having very, very good basketball teams. Nice jumper by Scotty Hartz from the top of the circle. His first scratch of the night, I believe.
Yep.
When Mike Lord was down there just a few years ago, they had a couple of outstanding basketball teams.
44-26.
Of course, Terry Steinhilber was an excellent player in the late 50s there for the Hawks.
No good. Fish the rebound. Boy, there's the elbow by Fish, but a foul called on Zeldenrust.
A little frustration on both sides as things not going well for the Bearcats. Foul called right away. Well, I really don't think in that instance, easy to say from up here, but it doesn't make much difference in that instance who the foul was called on. I'm just glad to see the whistle blow and stop the action before anybody has a chance to get too excited. 56 seconds to play here in the third quarter, 44-26. We're looking at an 18-point margin.
Denny Foster pretty hot after that elbow from Bill Fish found the midsection of Ryan Zeldenrust.
You know, I'm not sure Denny Foster gets enough credit. I think in a way it's kind of like John Todd, I guess, is over at East Chicago. Denny just has won and won and won ever since he's come into Hebron. And you and I and other people, I think, tend to look at him and say, well, he's got big, good players and he ought to win. But he's doing all the right things. He's got them in the right places, doing the right things. And obviously they're a well-coached team, just as the East Chicago Cardinals are.
I don't know what John Todd could do to coach any better.
Exactly.
There's the three-pointer. Is good by Hunt. Brian Hunt came in and said, hey, look at me, I can shoot the rock. And he hits the first one from three-point range.
Hebron in a high offense here with 15 seconds to play, looking for that last shot. Let's see who they set up. And looking for the lob over the top, but it wasn't there.
Terpstra, free throw line jumper, good again. Ray Terpstra with 11.
He is an athlete, Joe.
46-29, Hawks after 3. They lead by 17 on Channel 56.
Northwest Indiana High School basketball is partially underwritten by the following.
St. Mary Medical Center Health and Rehabilitation Spectrum is an outpatient center for the prevention, evaluation, and treatment of injured workers and athletes. The Spectrum offers industrial rehabilitation, sports medicine, Phase 3 cardiac rehab, and occupational health and wellness programs. For details, 1-800-932-6184.
And by the financial support of viewers like you.
For over 100 years, Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Centers have been helping people to help themselves by teaching them valuable skills and providing counseling and spiritual guidance. Today, at over 1,300 Salvation Army thrift stores across the nation, others discover useful household items donated by people like you. Discover the joy of giving. Please donate your reusable items to the Salvation Army.
I circle Olds GM's.
Well, we said last night they were untested, unbeaten, and unranked. And for 3 quarters at least tonight, they've been splendid out there.
I'd say all 3 of those uns are still intact right now. We know they haven't gotten ranked tonight, and so far they certainly have not been tested this evening. With all due respect to the Bearcats, this has been a Hebron basketball game. We're going to see some subs here on both sides.
And it's stolen away by Terpstra again. Rafe trying to go a little showtime for the cameras, and he couldn't get the move down. You know, we look down the road, and we will be over at Michigan City Rogers High School this year for the regional, and it will be an upset if Hebron's not there.
Who can challenge them in that KV sectional, Joe? I suppose everybody's going to challenge them, but do you think anybody can give them a ball game?
Well, stranger things have happened.
That's for
it's
sure.
going to be tough. They would definitely be the big favorite. You know, I've been impressed. This is my first time seeing them this year. I've been impressed with how smart they've played as a group.
Yeah, you look at those 85, 90, 100-point games, and you think maybe all they're doing is running up and down, throwing the ball up at the basket, and then tipping it in. And that's not the way it is. They're a pretty good basketball team.
Their offensive foul on Zeldin Rust there, but I've been impressed with their chemistry and the way that they play with one another. You won't see any one-on-one stuff here. You know, Josh Spinks is the star, but he's looked to pass a lot tonight. He's gotten his teammates involved. Terpstra has been involved, as has Zeldin Rust.
I think you're right. There doesn't seem to be anybody out there too concerned about their statistics.
Shot is short by Beckwith. Rebounded by the Hawks.
As we've said many times, it's amazing how much you can get done when nobody cares who gets the credit.
I think that's a, you know, that is apt right here tonight when you're looking at this ball club. Spinks off the baseline's fouled.
Denny was up on the sideline, felt that Spinks got fouled about 5 times before actually the whistle blew. And sometimes when you're 6'7" and the guys that guard you are not 6'7", the referees kind of think, well, you ought to be able to take a little bit of that punishment. But if you're the guy wearing number 52, you just assume they kept their hands off of you.
Josh,
Spinks, go ahead.
He looks a lot bigger than 197 as he's listed.
He sure does. Looks like he's a little bit heavier than last year, and looks like he might be up in the low 200s.
That one is good.
Let's face it, there aren't too many guys shooting 87% from the free throw line
No,
at his size in particular. I mean, I think because we are around Valparaiso University and Valparaiso High School so much in this area that we think 87% is not that big a deal, but it is.
I don't know whether Josh could play for Paoli, but he's doing pretty well at Hebron. We got another timeout. 48-29, Hawks by 19 with 6:34 to go. We'll be back on Channel 56.
Northwest Indiana high school basketball is partially underwritten by the following.
The place for treating athletic injuries is St. Mary Medical Center's Health and Rehabilitation Spectrum in Hobart. Our sports medicine program is the most comprehensive in Northwest Indiana. Specialists using advanced testing and therapy equipment can help rehabilitate sports injuries to put athletes back in the game safely. For details, 1-800-932-6184.
And by the financial support of viewers like you.
Here are a few of the chances you're missing if you don't register with Selective Service. Good money you can't make because men who don't register with Selective Service aren't eligible for many federal or state jobs. You can't even get a federal student loan for college. To stay eligible, you have to register at a post office within 30 days of your 18th birthday. Opportunities are out there for you. Don't throw them away.
Next Friday night will be at Bo Mallard Gym. It's Bo Mallard Gym, but it's the gym that Glenn made famous. Lake Central and Gary Roosevelt next Friday on Channel 56.
Have a chance to see if that Panther performance against East Chicago was a fluke or not.
There's 3 for Chris Piaski. 48-32 Hebron. Phil Miller on the corner to Spinks. Josh looks, gets it back out to Miller. Boy, smart play. Gets it back to Josh. He fires no. Rebound by Fish. And Bill Fish lost his balance and is called for traveling.
Piaski's three-pointer from the right wing, his first basket since early in the game, which was also another 3.
Miller between the circles, 48-32.
Wheeler just scrambling in half-court defense, man-to-man, about all they can afford to do.
Let's take a look at how Wheeler got to this ball game. They are 12-3 on the season, even though they're having things a little tough here tonight. Only 3 losses.
Of course, one of those losses coming last week as they're about to lose their second game in a row to Hebron on that schedule. And
they went to Hobart. The Brickies playing very well.
Yes, they are having an outstanding season. And so you can see that as you look down that list of scores there, that they've had a very good season so far. But they've got some tough games left. I think they still have to go to Couts, for example, maybe next week.
Got to go to Couts, and they still have Washington Township here. 50-32 through the hands of Fish. Tries to save it in bounds, throw it off Spinks, but it's corralled by the Hawks. 50-32. Hebron by 18. Spinks way out right. Had it deflected away, but Miller has been everywhere in the last couple minutes, and he got the ball again, but he had it deflected, thrown away. Here comes Piaski to the goal. He lays it up too hard, but a blocking foul on Hebron.
Coach Heath calling everybody over around the bench, wants to give some information as to what he'd like to be seeing happening out on that floor that's not going on right now. And he's a little bit hot, as coaches tend to do when they're behind 18 points.
We've got a Hebron timeout. 50-32 for the Hawks on Channel 56. And again, we'll ask you to support boys high school basketball on Channel 56. A $10 donation will be charged to your phone bill. You can call one of those numbers, hang on the line, and your call will register. It's a vote in support of your team, Hebron or Wheeler, continuing to be featured on Channel 56, or just a vote in support of high school basketball. Well, we're in the media, right? You're not a coach anymore. You're in the media, right? You give analysis on high school games. You can do this, is what I'm trying to say. You can look ahead maybe in the crystal ball to March. Hebron, North Judson, Valpo, and Elston, all favorites in their sectional. I think they're all prohibitive favorites.
I think probably more than any other single year, if you look at the 4 sectionals that would feed into Michigan City, more than any year I can remember, there is a clear favorite at each one of those sites. Yes, I wouldn't want to bet my mortgage, though, on the fact that all 4 of them would get there. But, yes, you'd almost have to say that those 4 are prohibitive favorites to get there.
And, of course, depending on that draw, that could shape up very, very interestingly. I think the battle lines are starting to be drawn. North Judson and Hebron do not have each other on the schedule, but their fans were a little irate at each other last night on the phone lines, trying to find a way to get Josh Spinks out of high school basketball.
Of course, Valparaiso plays North Judson later on in the year. That'd be a nice test for both of those clubs.
Miller called for palming. Really, the draw, the way that's going to wash out, yet to be determined with that draw. But that could be one of the best regionals in the area, if not the state.
It definitely will be, and not to change the subject at all, we can get back to that, but I think it's important for both these teams to finish this game with poise right now. Tempers are a little bit short. There's frustration at both ends. The Wheeler bench is a little bit hot because they're 20 points down and not playing as well as they want to, and the other bench is a little bit upset because they don't think the fouls are going the way they should be. But I think right now both teams really need to play 5 minutes of class basketball with good poise out there, and don't let things get out of hand. It's a 16-point game at 50-34, but these are 5 minutes in which you can improve somewhere, not just play out the string.
Hannah scores on the turnaround. I've got Hannah with 11. It's 50-36 Hawks. Josh on the baseline, steps through, off the board for 2. Josh Spinks.
Well, what about in the regional, Joe? What does it look like there? We got clear favorites in those sectionals or not?
Nah, as clear as it looks in Michigan City, as Fish hits a 3. Fish now with 7. Coach, I really think it's as cloudy in Lake County as it could be. You'd think maybe that Crown Point's the favorite at Maryville, but the Pirates have been coming on, almost took the Bulldogs out last week. They've got 6'8" freshman phenom Jamal Davis joining the team tonight. And Jim East throws around compliments like, me and you throw around those the money for a free dinner somewhere.
He doesn't give very many, huh?
No.
Okay.
And he's been real high on the young man as the free throw by Terpster's no good. And then you look at the Holbrook Brickies. Slowly, quietly sneaking up on everybody, and Keith Hipskin getting his team ready for the tournament. The draw will be big there, and I think the other real cloudy sectional's got to be at Gary, where really 5 out of the 6 with a shot to win the championship.
Yeah, Wallace with a great record. Westside having a great year. Roosevelt coming on a little bit right now. You're right.
Really, Horace Mann, who's just been down since the incident early this year. The Horace Mann, the only team you really don't think with a chance to maybe win there.
Exactly. Wirtz played well. You know, we only have a 13-point game here with 4 minutes to go. It's not like it's mathematically impossible. You just have the feeling that Wheeler can't score that many points in a row.
Fish with the deflection and the steal. 52-39 Hawks. And the bench has played well since the kids have come in. Brian Hunt drained that 3 when he came in, and he's added a spark. He's got it. Spins on the dribble. Gives it to Hannah.
Really 4 starters still on the floor for the Bearcats, playing as hard as they can play, and I believe 4 still, no, 3 I guess it is on the floor for Hebron. Maybe it is 4.
Little one-on-one move, and he got it to go.
Cuts it to 11, 52-41 with 3:19 to play.
Bill Miller in the backcourt now as the pressure on by the Bearcats. He gets it away to Spinks. Josh way out right, guarded out there by Hartz. Josh Spinks, cross-court pass to Stevens. Goes to the goal for 2. Big bucket for Byron Stevens, his first 2.
Nice shot by the 5'9" junior, took it strong.
54-41. 15-footer Piaskino got off the back iron. Spinks clears the rebound. He's got Terpstra breaking.
Nice pass.
Rafe to the goal, lays it in.
Nice clear. He threw that ball about 65 feet in a 2-hand overhand pass, a la Wes Unseld for you old people.
Fish, no good, and he'll go to the line. with 2:25 to go. 56-41 Hebron by 15. And before we forget, we need to thank head coach Skeeter Heath along with athletic director Mr. Dave Wagner and all the administration here at Wheeler High School for their great hospitality.
They really did a nice job of setting up for you and I here, Joe. They probably won't invite us back, though, because you really hurt them in that hospitality room in there. Had to get out a couple extra loaves of bread.
It's my kind of hospitality room, Coach. When I got in, there was nobody there.
Just you and the food,
That's
huh?
right.
All right.
One-on-one. 56-43. Terpstra clears it to Stevens. The other sectional that's really cloudy in Lake County is there's more, no good, and another offensive foul call on the Hawks. That Calumet sectional totally up for grabs with Lake Central, Munster, Highland, and Calumet. Any one of those four. Justin Moore has fouled out of the ball game.
Committed the offensive foul there, and he's got kind of an unusual move along the baseline where he turns his left shoulder and side into the player as he goes back then for the jump shot. And I'd say 9 out of 10 times the foul's going to be called on the defensive man, in that even though Moore probably is the guy who initiates the contact, and Denny Foster not too happy about the call, and hopefully it won't have any great effect on the outcome of the game.
56-43. Crossover move, Piaski. He's chopped at from behind by Terpstra. And a foul on Rafe.
13-point margin, 2 minutes and 2 seconds to play here in our basketball game, as Hebron will now stand alone atop the PCC regular season league standings with a record of 5-0. And Wheeler will drop to second place at 5-1.
Hawks home tomorrow with KV. Free throw is in for Hovis.
Really the margin established in this game with a spurt in the second quarter, which made the score 28-17, 11 points at half. We're only 12 right now, and so that spurt in the second quarter is really what made the basketball game for the Hawks. The homecoming crowd on the far side for the orange and green has not given up. They are cheering every good move by their Bearcats, just as they cheered loudly for Marv Brickner earlier with that presentation before the game tonight.
Yeah, when we get a chance, we'll show you Marv Brickner, who was presented with, maybe we could do that right now, presented with a plaque as the leading scorer all time in Wheeler High School basketball.
I might tell you, Joe, if I can just butt in right here, that I watched Marv Brickner play, and he was an outstanding basketball player, one of those guys that made the PCC. Graduated in 1955, scored 1,253 career points here, averaged 23 points a game as a junior and a senior, and he could shoot the ball from anywhere on the floor, about 6'5" or 6", and could have shot the ball from beyond that three-point arc had he been able to play today. He was a great one, and Wheeler High School honored him tonight with an outstanding alumni award.
You must have been just in elementary school when you saw him play, huh?
Well, actually I was, yes.
58-44 with 1:30 to go. Bill Fish drives to the basket, lays it up, and in. I'll tell you what, you know, we talk about Josh Spinks, and why not, because he's a great kid and a great player, but I think you need to start talking about Rafe Terpstra when you talk about the guards in Northwest Indiana.
Definitely a good player, and one of the things that makes him a good player, Joe, is about what he's about to do right now. Let's hope he makes me look good here, because he's an 80% free throw shooter. Not only is he scoring 10, 11 points a game, but he guards one of the toughest men on the other team all the time. In the closing moments of the game, you put him at the free throw line, he's going to knock him down, and he's a fine athlete. He can jump on the boards, he can dribble, he can shoot the ball off the dribble,
And the guards in today's basketball game, Joe, who can shoot the ball on the fly off the dribble are a rarity, and Terpstra is among those rare people.
He's got 15, you know, and Coach probably on another team where you don't have the balanced scoring from Spinks, Zeldin, Rust, and Moore, all them in double figures. Rafe, you know, he might be averaging 20 points a game on another team.
Quite possible.
Here's the jumper, good by Scott Hartz to close it to 12 with a minute to go. And Wheeler will take a timeout. Hawks lead by 12, looking to go 14-0, 60-48 Hebron on Channel 56.
56 Sports and Youth, a winning combination. We're glad we can bring you this high school basketball game. Hoosier hysteria is alive and well in Northwest Indiana. We're serious when it comes to our high school basketball. Now it's time to show your support. Pick up the phone and dial one of the numbers on your screen. You will hear a short message followed by a tone. A $10 donation to Channel 56 will then appear on your next telephone bill. Everyone knows Indiana is a great basketball state. Now it's time to see who has the greatest fans. Support your community. Support your public television station. You are the ones who make these games possible. Call now.
Minute left, 60-48 Hebron by 12. Zeldin Rust really hasn't got a lot of the minutes here in the second half. And there's a 5-second call on the Hawks.
When you pass the ball across the black line like that to a second man taking it out of bounds, of course, the 5-second count is accumulative. It did not start over when Spinks caught the ball, so it was a good 5 seconds. The count now ends, of course, as soon as the ball is released from his hands, but the referee still felt that it was 5.
Fish missed it, went and got the rebound, though. Spins in the lane. Oh, and he left it short. Squeezed it a little, and Terpstra's got the loose ball. And he's pushed out of bounds, and a foul on Wheeler. Bill Fish, a physical young man.
Does a lot of his scoring, Joe, in there within 12 or 14 feet of the basket. You saw it on that last move as he wiggled between two people and tried to draw the contact and bump the ball up there, but he's going to foul out. The leading scorer for the Bearcats. He's averaging 17 points a game, and he'll sit down with 48 seconds to play.
And Rafe Terpstra back to the free throw line.
Denny Foster showing an awful lot of respect for Hebron with the players he still has in the game. I mean, excuse me, a lot of respect for Wheeler with the players he still has in the game.
That one no good. Weak side rebound to Spinks. Josh going to try to spin out of there on the dribble. Let it too far for Stevens. And it's out of bounds back to Wheeler with 31 seconds left.
And there are those people, I guess, who would think that Spinks, Terpstra, etc. ought to be out of the game when there was a minute to go in a 12-point lead. But in today's game, you know, that's only 4 quick possessions, and Denny's playing it safe, and you can't blame him at all.
Hovis launches no. Spinks the rebound, and a jump ball called as he's got tied up a little with Hartz. And Josh is trying to let him know that he was on his back.
Referee ruled that the ball was a jump ball, that both players had a hold of the basketball, and then the Wheeler player came down on the Hebron player's back after the ball had been tied up. Probably a fairly good call, and with 21 seconds to play, why not?
Josh Spinks will sit down with 21 seconds left. Hannah the steal, fires no. Hannah recovers on the baseline. Nice move to lay it in. Hannah with 13. Here's Stevens to the bucket, and he's fouled. Either Piaski or Hannah got him. With 5 seconds left, it's a 10-point game.
And I'd repeat, Joe, that the second quarter was pivotal. We're looking at a 10-point game on the scoreboard. In actuality, Wheeler has won the second half by a point. That may change with the conversion of the free throws right here. But it was the second quarter where things got out of hand pace-wise that cost Wheeler a chance to stay in this basketball game.
Free throw by Stevens is no good. Got the second one. 61-50. Stripped by Miller. He'll launch the three for the heck of it. It's good. Bill Miller with a free shot to end the ball game, and he ups the score. 64-50 is the final as he drains the tray. Hebron Hawks go to 14-0. 64-50. Hebron by 14. We'll be back with Coach Denny Foster right after this on Channel 56.
'56 Sports and Youth, a winning combination. We're glad we can bring you this high school basketball game. Hoosier hysteria is alive and well in Northwest Indiana. We're serious when it comes to our high school basketball. Now it's time to show your support. Pick up the phone and dial one of the numbers on your screen. You will hear a short message followed by a tone. A $10 donation to Channel 56 will then appear on your next telephone bill. Everyone knows Indiana is a great basketball state. Now it's time to see who has the greatest fans. Support your community. Support your public television station. You are the ones who make these games possible. Call now.
$64-50 for Hebron as they take a huge step toward the Porter County Conference Championship tonight. Coach Dennis Foster joining us. Outstanding second quarter, and that was the key to the ball game.
Well, yeah, I don't know what happened in the second quarter, what happened anywhere, but it just seemed like our kids hung in there and played a good, steady, tough ball game against an awful good team. Wheeler plays awful hard on defense, awful hard on the boards, and they're very patient. They get the good shots, and most of the time they knock them down. But I thought the board play was pretty instrumental early. They were getting to the offensive boards on us, not so much in the second half. Probably in the second quarter, I don't remember now, and I hate to say something that against Skip, because he's the expert. He knows what's going on out there. I love listening to this guy. So I know I'll learn something tomorrow when I watch this. But it's probably our press causing some turnovers. I thought we've been just playing a full court press. Tonight we dropped back to a three-quarter court press and tried to get more containment instead of putting pressure on their guards and letting them drive through us like they did a little bit in the tournament. So I thought that got us the lead a little bit early in the first quarter. What was the score in the second quarter? Oh, I'll tell you what, Josh Spinks played one whale of a game on offense, and then his defensive rebounds in the last couple minutes of the game were very key. But I thought Josh played an outstanding offensive game for us tonight.
You really took away my first question, Denny, because I was going to ask you how you took away all the layups and easy shots that I really thought they got against you in the first half last week. Your half-court defense was much better tonight. Fish got nothing inside to speak of and so forth. No backdoor layups. Excellent job there. How about the baggage psychologically now? 14-0. Is it beginning to weigh at all any place along the line? You know, sometimes you hear a coach say, it wouldn't be too bad to lose one, but boy, you hate to give up that 0-2. Talk a little bit about that pressure if you could.
I thought our kids were real tight last week, whether it was being undefeated or just the pressure of the three-peat for the tournament. But tonight they were pretty loose before the game, and I was kind of worried maybe they were too loose. But they came out and played hard. Our guards, Rafe Terpstra, I don't know how many points he had tonight, but he hit some key jump shots for us. And then Billy Miller runs the show for us out there. And one time he even got on some of our players, which I was glad to see because they weren't doing the right things. One thing we wanted to do tonight, too, was to nail some threes because Coach Heath last night said Zeldin Russ, they were going to let him shoot. So that was one of our keys. We were going to make sure Zeldin Russ made a three tonight. And I think all the starters but Josh, who's been hitting most of them for us lately, got a three tonight. Billy capped it off there at the end. I was hoping at the end, I told Coach Stun, shoot, we're not going to beat 62, which we had in the tournament. I wanted to kind of come over here because they're, you know, the best defensive team in our conference. And I kind of wanted to beat that 62 mark. And then Billy gets the steal and the three at the end to give us 64.
I definitely did mention the fact that Coach Heath said he would like to see Ryan shooting the threes, and Ryan did knock one down.
Ryan was sick yesterday. He was home in bed with the flu. And Skip was talking about what we did defensively, and we worked real hard yesterday on our half-court matchup, the rotation involved when the ball went inside. Zeldin Russ wasn't there, but he came out tonight and did a pretty good job for us. Early in the game, they were making some awfully good low bounce passes inside. But I thought especially Spinks in the second half, and then Ryan also, they were getting down low and stopping that pass inside.
Coach, finally, what about being unranked? Do the kids talk about it? Do you guys talk about it all? Is it something that no one talks about? How do they approach that?
We talk about it, laugh about it. We want to get recognized. Our claim to fame is that we're the lowest ranked undefeated team in the state. So we're proud of that fact. And, there's some big matchups coming up this weekend in the top 20 where somebody's going to have to lose. So we're hoping, I think there's 8 undefeated teams going into tonight's round. I think a couple of them are going to have to fall because I think they might be meeting one another. They're playing some awful strong teams. But that just keeps us, I think, motivated that we aren't ranked. So you and the Renegade, I know you're behind us. The Renegade will keep us down. That's good. And I like the fact he's got West Side above us. But I'll tell you what, West Side is deserving. They're probably the best team in the area right now.
You might want to just say one quick word, Danny, and you've spoken to it, but it's not a one-man team, is it? Josh Spinks gets a lot of the ink because he's your leading scorer, but, boy, you got good balance, and you are hard to play defense against.
Zeldin Rust, he was sick yesterday, and he was weak. He was sick today, said he felt bad. But I thought, it was like the NBA out there when he got the ball in the lane twice the first quarter. He was fading away, and I don't think it was because he was jumping backwards. And yet he was strong and hit 2 fadeaway jump shots. So, yeah, as you say, I mean, you can't back off of anybody. In the tournament, they backed off our guards, and Billy Miller shot well in the tournament against them. And then Rafe stepped up tonight. And Billy, I think, Billy didn't hit one early, but, our kids, it's probably the smartest team I've ever had. Jeez, are they smart.
That's what I said.
I thought the second half in the tournament, our kids just ran when they should run, walked when they should walk, and just...
It's easy to coach then, right?
It's great. I love it. All right, I was going bananas tonight because I didn't want that lead getting under 10 points, and they're just, they don't care. They know they're going to take care of it.
All righty, Coach Dennis Foster, thanks for joining us. Final score again, 64-50 for the Hawks. They are 14-0. We will see you next Friday night from Gary Roosevelt High School when Lake Central takes on the Roosevelt Panthers. For Coach Skip Collins and Dennis Foster, I'm Joe Redondo. Good night.
What better way to spend your weekend than watching Big Ten basketball on Channel 56? This Saturday at 12 noon, see Glenn Robinson and Purdue battle Minnesota's Golden Gophers. At 2, it's Wisconsin and Rashard Griffith taking on Michigan's Fab Four. Then wind up the day at 7 when the Iowa Hawkeyes and Michigan